Hi, welcome to this week's episode of the Jim and Shelby Show, All Things Print Podcast. I'm Jim Raffle.
And I'm Shelby Sapusik.
And we have a guest.
We do.
We do. So this is Hayes Holzhauer. I always struggle. We should just have you say guest names from now on. I think you do it just to laugh at me. Welcome, Hayes. I'm going to give people a really quick introduction on you. I find it really cool that Hayes started in the sign industry in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is where I'm based and where was born and raised and still live pretty much in this area.
Mhm.
Uh, I guess your dad had a commercial real estate sign company. You worked for him. You ended up
Yeah,
down at Arizona State University and you worked at a Fast Signs, which is
yeah,
a little different than commercial signage, right?
a little bit. Yeah, I got some great experience.
Then you came back and worked at Holzhauer Graphics
Mhm.
for what is that? Oh, just a couple of years in the late 90s, early 2000s. Um, and you sold that company to one of our favorite, we don't have favorite clients, to one of our clients, Olympus Group, who we both
Yeah,
got to visit when we were in Las Vegas. I think that's where we actually ran into you, right?
yeah, it was that
Mhm.
Monday before the show and at
Yep.
Brian's new facility in Las Vegas. It was great.
Oh,
Mhm.
beautiful facility, absolutely.
It is a
And
beautiful facility.
so you worked there for a little while, and you also worked for Blue Media, another client who I think you referred us into,
Mhm.
also in the Phoenix area,
Yeah.
Tempe. And when you left Blue Media, they hired us to come in and do
Well,
some
thanks.
training. But I think what's more interesting and what we really want to talk about today is that you then started some entrepreneurial ventures, and one of them is AGL. And
Mhm.
with that, I'm going to turn it over to you. You can add anything you want to that bio and start telling us a little bit about AGL and what you're doing with them.
Great, Jim, Shelby. Thanks for having me. This is exciting. I've followed your podcast, so I'm honored to be on here. But yes, after I left Blue Media, it's been a couple of years now. One of the projects that I wanted to work on was developing a different kind of liquid coater for clear coating graphics. And being that I had used and purchased AGL equipment, which stands for Advanced Grade Laminators, they're based in DeForest, Wisconsin, just outside of Madison. I think AGL makes the best, most industrial lamination equipment for the graphics market. They also have other divisions of the company that make specialized laminating equipment for aerospace, the auto industry, a lot of things that don't pertain to printing. But I was gravitated towards them just because of the industrial build of their machines. If you take care of them, they just run forever. And we saw a lot of that in talking with our customers at the most recent Printing United show. So when I reached out to Brian Bisker, the owner of AGL, and proposed an idea of AGL building a liquid coater, he was interested because he had been asked by a lot of his customers if AGL would build a liquid coater because his customers didn't like a lot of the offerings that were out there. And so we started this project about 2.5 years ago. And here we are. We just launched the first model a few weeks before Printing United. And it's the first UV LED clear coat machine on the market, specifically designed for roll-to-roll liquid coating, mostly of graphics 62 inches wide and narrower. So that in a nutshell is where we're at, Jim.
So I'm I'm very familiar with lamination. I a lot of our work is in floor coverings, floor graphics, wall graphics, wallpaper, vehicle wraps, and obviously in many of those, not so much the wallpaper, but in the floor and the wall and the vehicle, those are almost always laminated. I think those are cast products typically. Um, and what would be some of the advantages of a liquid coat, whether it be UV LED or just UV? Let's start simple and then get people into why LED is the preferred method.
Well, most of the requests that AGL had been getting, and one of the primary focuses of this first model was to address a certain niche in fleet graphics where they're clear coding. And those are mostly large scale fleet graphics jobs, what I call large volume fleet graphics jobs, where to drive their costs down, mostly on flat trailers with rivets, very simple box trucks and things like that. The cost of a clear coat is a fraction of what even the lowest cost cast vinyl laminate is. So really, specifically for fleet graphics and decals in general, it's putting a protection on the graphic, but at the lowest price point possible. So that's how it pertains to fleet and decal. The other niche that this machine addresses is wall covering. That obviously would be what we call like an ultra matte finish for interior wall covering. Not all wall coverings need a clear coat, but there are certain applications and requirements either by architects or building code where they want those graphics clear coated, mostly for cleaning purposes, repetitive cleaning.
That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. So I was reading over the product page, which we will, by the way, when this episode publishes in the show notes, we will drop this URL in there. And one of the first benefits that I see is 90% power reduction compared to UV arc. I always knew that LED used a lot less power than arc. I had no idea it was that significant. And that has to be a factor for a variety of reasons, I'm going to assume.
For sure. LED has been used in digital printing for years now on curing ink, as we all know. Almost every printer manufacturer out there that's doing UV cured inks is mostly 100% converted to LED. For power reduction, for heat, and for the instant on off of the light, for the life of those LED bulbs compared to UV arc. So there's a number of reasons that UV LED has become the major curing method for UV digital printing, and also flexo and offset printing as well, and screen printing. I saw an opportunity or a gap in the market with regards to clear coating, that no one had built one yet. And so that was the reason that we at AGL decided to start this line using LED.
So I've got to throw some color stuff in here because obviously
Sure.
this is what Shelby and I do.
Yeah.
This is what Colorcasters is all about. I know that anytime we do color profiling with any kind of laminate, really any kind of coating, varnish, whatever it might be, we always do our profiling post coating. And so I'm going to assume that your clear coat is optically clear, but there's probably still some kind of a color hue to it. And I'm going to guess, knowing your color background, you would recommend the same kind of thing, right? That the profiling should be done post laminate or post coating.
100%, yes, because that's the final state of the graphic. That's how it's going to be viewed. So I 100% agree. I would do every step of your profiling process with a clear coat on there.
So if someone was looking at a machine and went ahead and purchased it, they would probably, and hopefully there's someone who's been working with custom profiles to begin with, they would probably want to either build new profiles themselves or hire someone like us to come in and build those profiles, because it's going to probably be different than whatever current coating and or probably lamination method they're using today.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've seen, and I know you've seen, more change of color from laminates probably than clear coats.
Absolutely, because it's
Because
thicker.
you've got a film and an adhesive there that can change the color.
And it's thicker too, right? Isn't
It
there
is
more there?
considerably thicker, yeah.
Yeah.
Our clear coat, by design, for most of the application, will have about an 8 micron thickness, which is the
Okay.
fraction of a vinyl
Yeah,
laminate.
absolutely. Okay. All right. Anything else you want to bring up about let me get the right name, the ALG Sheer Coat UV62?
It's other than what we talked about, it's specifically built for roll-to-roll applications, which is what the customers of AGL were asking for.
Okay.
Almost all of the liquid coating equipment that's out there are roller coaters, which means it's applying the coating through a series of rollers and squeegees. And our machine is a different technology, which isn't new. It's a metering rod or Meyer bar technology, which is widely used in all areas of manufacturing, and we felt, and I feel that it gives the best finish coat to roll coating. And
Mhm.
so that's the method we've used in this machine, and it produces fantastic results.
Okay. All right. Well, since we ran into you in Las Vegas, well, it was last week when this was recorded. It's probably going to be a couple months from when we published this, but we obviously already mentioned the connection at the Olympus Open House. We're just wondering, did you have a favorite restaurant while you were there?
I did actually. One of my coworkers suggested we go to the Hofbrau House on Paradise, which I had not been to before, and had a great time.
That's the beer place, right? And
It
they have
is.
pretzel, the huge beer pretzel, I think you can
And
get.
we got that, and they had singing German music up on the stage, and I had a bratwurst. I had to because I'm from Wisconsin, of course. And it was a great time. Lots of people singing and having a great time.
It's possible Shelby and I have been there before.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure
If you haven't gone, I highly recommend it.
No, we have. We've been
we
there.
have.
Great place, fun.
Shelby, what was your favorite dining experience?
Honestly, I can't remember the name of it though. The place with the red curtains.
Stanton Prime?
There you go.
There you go.
Terrible at names of restaurants. I remember the experience, can't remember the names of restaurants.
Stanton Prime at Caesars. You stole mine, so I've got to think of another one. Really, I should have had a second one. I should have had a backup. That Stanton Prime would have been mine. I absolutely love Stanton Prime. Um, I think I'm gonna go with I can't think of the name either. The breakfast place at Cosmopolitan.
Oh yeah,
Um,
the name of it.
I'll think of it. So there's a place in Cosmopolitan that is open. It's got the strangest hours in the world, but if you're kind of normal people from the Midwest and the East, if you go there around 6:30 or 7 for breakfast, they're open. And just that and they have an
They,
amazing breakfast, an amazing
they
breakfast.
open at 2 a.m.
2 to
and
2 to 10, I think, right?
yeah, it's like no, it's like 2 to 2 or something like
2 to
that. It's
4,
like
2 to 4,
breakfast,
2 8-hour shifts.
breakfast
Yep,
and
yep,
lunch.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
But breakfast starts at 2 a.m. So
It's
that's
yeah, it's
Vegas.
crazy. Yeah. It's a great place in Cosmo. Yeah, absolutely. And did you see anything other than your Shearcoat UV62? Did you get a chance to get out of the booth and did anything jump out at you at the show?
Well, I wish I would have had some more time to get out of the booth and walk around. But what I did see at a few booths was some interesting color change films and colors and textures, and
Mhm.
also some interesting textures and wall covering as well that are really neat and unique. And so those are the things that I remember.
And I would ask Shelby the same question, but I know how busy we were and I don't remember seeing anything new.
I didn't do a lot of
No.
booth bouncing other than our meetings, and I became a Woman in Print member while I was there, so I had some functions that I had to go to for that.
Mhm.
We spoke, and then you spoke again. We had a bunch of academy appointments and obligations. So
We were
yeah,
busy.
it was more of we had a very full calendar this year.
Yeah, and if you missed we did a whole episode on the show, so if you missed that, go back a few episodes and give that a watch. So, all right, well, that's all we've got. And Hayes, I think, like I said, we'll get a link for the equipment in the show notes. We'll get your name in there. Is there any place on LinkedIn or social media where you want people to look for you, or should we just?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, just Hayes Holzhauer, and AGL's website is aglinc.com, aglinc.com,
Mhm.
and they have all of their lamination equipment on there, as well as the shear coat line of liquid coaters and coatings that we came up that are formulated with the machine. So it's all on their website, and also you can also find AGL on YouTube, and they have a large library of videos for all their laminators, and as well as a bunch of videos on the clear coat machine.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the
Appreciate that.
Shelby Show. We will be back again in a couple weeks with another episode.
Fantastic. Thank you both for having me.
You bet.